Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. We are tracking another storm system headed our way as we get into your Friday night and Saturday morning, and that is our next big thing we're keeping an eye on. So let's get to those First Alert weather headlines tonight. Again, looks like the main time frame will be Friday night into Saturday morning, with the greatest risk in our neck of the woods across northwest Alabama. But regardless, wherever you live in central Alabama, especially northwest of that I-2059 corridor, that's likely where we could see a better chance for some isolated tornadoes, some strong wind gusts. But it's not just this threat Friday night into Saturday morning. Right now, this kind of looks like a run-of-the-mill severe risk, but we've also been seeing some signals that next week the weather pattern could get a little dicey. So some more active weather, and that's going to be aided by that warmer, more humid air in place, just allowing more storms to bubble up as we see a more active jet stream in place, and that could bring about some more storm systems. So let's go ahead and look at that next big thing, that risk for strong to severe storms as we get Friday night into Saturday morning, where you see the area highlighted in orange here. That's where a level 3 out of 5 risk is across parts of the Midwest into parts of the Mid-South. And yes, that does happen to just clip northwest Alabama. And then as you move areas to the south and east, that risk does go down a touch. But like I said, probably that most favorable spot for seeing some stronger storms Friday night and Saturday morning is going to be northwest of I-2059. All modes of severe weather are on the table. I think we could see a damaging wind threat, if not some isolated tornadoes and large hail. And then by the time you wake up Saturday morning, honestly, most of this will be out of here. So looking ahead, we mentioned Friday, the potential for strong to severe storms. Now, some of our high resolution model data that's been coming in today has suggested, okay, yes, you have that possibility for some strong to severe storms Friday night, but it's out of the question we could see some scattered activity earlier on in the day. So by Friday morning, seeing some rain possibly moving into northwest parts of North Alabama, whereas the rest of us staying fairly dry. But this high resolution data is picking up on that potential for scattered thunderstorms into Friday afternoon and evening. And if we do see a severe threat manifest, then we'll want to watch for maybe the possibility of some stronger storms earlier in the afternoon as well into the evening. So notice how the high resolution model data here is trying to pick up on maybe some discrete cells, some scattered activity developing ahead of the main line coming in Friday night. If that were to be the case, we've got to watch this for any rotating thunderstorms known as supercells that could potentially produce maybe isolated tornadoes or some large hail. But this is a conditional threat. We've got to see if we can get moisture far enough northward to support that, and if there's still going to be some upper level support in the atmosphere to help more of these storms fire up. Regardless, here comes the front that those storms will develop ahead of as we get into early Saturday morning. And so as that gets a little closer to us early Saturday morning, that's when we'll watch for that risk. Actually, looks like our sky cam in Tuscaloosa just decided to dip out. I mean, I'd probably dip out too if it were looking as nice as it is right now. Right now, First Alert AccuTrack is showing widespread 60s across central Alabama and any clouds moving out to the south. So we've got clear skies going into tonight, and that's going to set us up for a cool start to tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, here on Weather Extra, we have a full show ahead, and we're going to be looking at what is coming up here in the next several minutes. And remember, you can join us here every weeknight at 6:30. So we're going to be checking in with our dear friend JP Dice, talking about this severe threat, this active weather pattern that we're going to be seeing over the next several days, and taking a look outside of the Earth's atmosphere, what's going on with Jupiter and Uranus. And we always like to cover climate change here on Weather Extra, that little extra something melting in the Antarctic, and then, of course, tracking the severe storms. We'll be right back.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
Some people may think you're overreacting. Some may ask, Is there a storm coming? That's okay, because knowing the first alert has helped you beat the rush. Being prepared puts you in control and changes the what if to you're okay. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
If you have plans for this weekend, we have a first alert for a wintry mix.
When you need to know next week, tomorrow, or even right now, the WBRC First Alert Weather Team is always on your side, whenever and wherever you need us. This is why we First Alert.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. It's springtime here in the Deep South, and what a surprise. We have had severe weather threats already and more to come in the coming days. So we bring in now our dear friend meteorologist JP Dice to talk more about this stormy weather pattern. JP, how's it going on this Wednesday?
Going well. Don't we do this every week? Every week about Thursday or Friday we have a severe weather threat?
Yeah, I'm not loving this deja vu we keep having, JP.
And this time, as we've been indicating, I've been sharing this with social media, you guys have been talking about it as well, that it looks like kind of the same areas are going to be under the gun, the focus for those stronger storms, and that's going to be the northwestern part of the state. In particular, again, Lauderdale County and the Shoals area, get into that part of the state. But in our viewing area, it's going to be Marion County. It's also going to be Lamar, Fayette, Northern Pickens, probably Walker, Winston counties as this line of storms comes in late Friday night. And you know what, Lauren, what I always hated with severe weather events that happen late at night, you're always wondering if folks are asleep and not getting the updated information that they need. So we always encourage the multiple devices, weather radio, of course, the First Alert Weather app.
Yeah, that's what we hate to see, JP. Of course, any nighttime threat, and I know no one's thrilled about having to pay attention to the weather on their Friday night into their Saturday morning when you're wanting to wind down. So we don't like to compare storm systems, but what are you thinking with this severe threat as we go into Friday?
Yeah, you know, this one Friday looks a little bit lower impact, I think, than what we saw last week. The one last week for our area, it was really just a tornado warning and some higher winds in the northwestern part of our viewing area. And you had the high impact, the tornado touchdowns back farther to the west of Mississippi. I think this one's a little bit tamer. I still think you can't rule out the tornado. We typically use the term isolated tornado. That's a lower end tornado threat. It's not a zero threat, but I think this one's going to be a lower impact than what we saw last week. I think it's going to be a lot of rain, a lot of thunder, and I think by 6, 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, boom, it's gone. It's out of here, and we have a pretty decent looking Saturday, but we're bracing ourselves for a pretty active week next week. So it's going to be kind of one of these systems right after another, as long as we're in this pattern that we're going to have to watch out for. And here's a little tidbit. So, you know, I fly around a lot. On Sunday, I headed south, and you had all those storms that were down to the south of us between here and the Gulf Coast. So dealt with that on Sunday, got around that, got through it, and then came back yesterday, and this sagging line of storm, it was still there.
Wow.
It was just farther south in the Big Bend area of Florida. So I'm like, I can't get away from this thing. It just would not clear on out. So we're kind of stuck in this pattern that you're going to have one of these right after another until we see some major change in the overall weather pattern.
That's such a good way to put it. Yeah, you feel a little unlucky with those storms constantly following you. But I mean, just talking with the team here, JP, like you noted, it's like, yeah, some run-of-the-mill severe thunderstorms Friday night. But next week looks certainly, I think, a little bit more concerning in a sense. What would you say?
Yeah, I think so, and I think we really need to watch in particular as we look farther down the road at the European model and what that's going to be doing. I had a viewer the other day send me a note. How come you guys use the European model so much? Well, we have to really use it in the longer term forecast, the higher resolution data like the HRRR, and I know I'm getting into a little bit of nerdy alphabet soup here with the forecast models, but the European model is a little bit more superior than what we have here in the States, the GFS, the Global Forecasting System. Both have their purposes, but I kind of lean more with these longer range models looking at the Euro and how it performs here in the Southeast with our severe weather when we're looking at out past 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, and JP, I know as we're talking about this, I'm sure people are just, oh, I don't even want to hear it. I'm tired. Storm fatigue is a real thing. What would you recommend to people who are listening in right now? And maybe their anxiety is shooting up a little bit.
You know, that's a great point because I made a post about that today. There are so many folks that do have what I call storm anxiety. It's a real thing. And when we say even a low-end threat, in their mind, it goes max out April 27th, level severe weather. And we all know in reality, there's a big gap. There's a big range between sunshine and those high-end days like April 27th. Most of the time, it's kind of right in the middle. And what I would tell people that have this storm anxiety, I don't want you not to pay attention to the weather. You need to do that. We always need to be engaged with what's going on around us. But the really big tornadoes, the ones that you have seen on the news, these big days, that's about 2% of actually the tornadoes that we see here in the United States. So that's typically not what we deal with. What we deal with most of the time, some trees down, EF0 through about EF2 strength tornadoes. That's your typical tornadoes around here. And on those really big days, we really see those parameters coming up way ahead of time, and we're going to make sure we make that very clear. So make sure you have the way to get the weather information, but even Friday night, pay attention to the weather. Most of us will get through this with very little impact. There could be a tornado. It's not a high risk for a tornado, but it's something that we have to monitor. In the First Alert Weather Center, that's why folks like you and Wes, rest of the team, you stay in there all night long just watching the radar, making sure nothing unexpected pops up.
Yeah, sometimes, honestly, you just have to babysit the radar. So we will definitely be doing that in the days ahead. JP, thanks as always for your expertise and advice. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Always good talking to you, Lauren.
You too. So we have been talking about severe weather, but let's transition here a little bit. You know, humans, us Homo sapiens, have rightly earned ourselves a reputation for being land mammals, but underwater, the jury's still out on that. I think that's more where the fish and sometimes amphibians dwell. But reporter Janine Stanwood in Key Largo, Florida, tells us why one man is spending time under the sea.
It's research that's happening underwater. Do you see those bubbles right over there? That is an underwater habitat where right now a doctor is spending 100 days. This is a special habitat 22 feet below in a Key Largo lagoon. And this is a live stream of Dr. Joe Dituri, retired naval officer and clinical researcher living inside. If he stays past 73 days, he will break a world record.
So I am not dive certified, but photojournalist Frank DeBesa is. So he's getting his gear ready and he'll be going in.
Sharky, Frank, Sharky.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good.
Our camera goes in to see the underwater world. And soon pops up into the habitat.
Channel 10, you want to show yourself in the house?
What are you doing in there?
So, great question. There are three things that we're doing in here. One is we are increasing our outreach to the STEM community, science, technology, engineering, math.
Research is also being done on materials underwater that could be cures for diseases.
Hold on. I'm going to show you Dr. Hunter Hines, literally looking in a microscope.
And Dituri is having his vitals measured to see how underwater living affects the brain and body. Staff is constantly watching.
Lots of protein, lots of eggs. I have a little fridge. Can you see that?
The habitat at the Jules Undersea Lodge is a positive pressure environment, so air is constantly being pumped in. It was built in 1971 and still considered state-of-the-art.
Everything we need to cure everything that's going on is in this world. So we got to live in this environment to figure this stuff out.
Throughout the course of the 100 days, students and a who's who of scientists will be brought underwater. By the way, this is only week 2. We're in Key Largo. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
Thanks for that, Janine. In the meantime, I think I'm going to be staying here on land. But hey, you may want to travel around the world, and that's where we bring in meteorologist Tania Michelle now. What is going on around this crazy world of ours, Tania?
Lauren, I think it's time for us to head outer space.
Ooh,
let's go outside of Earth, right? And head to outer space where NASA says the weather is changing on other planets, particularly Jupiter and Uranus. These images from the Hubble Space Telescope show Jupiter's Great Red Spot lives up to that name. NASA says it's a gigantic storm. I wonder where the video's at. It doesn't matter. I'll continue telling you. NASA says the gigantic storm is actually big enough to swallow Earth, but it's shrinking. The agency says it could regain its size and then some if it merges with a separate string of recently visible storms. As for Uranus, its north pole looks like a large off-white circle, and scientists say that appearance comes from a kind of haze inside it and storms along its edge. A comparison of the photos from 2014 and last year shows that northern cap is getting bigger and brighter. And a new study is actually showing us that Antarctic is melting, and the melting ice has the potential to end an ocean system that sustained life for thousands. I'm talking thousands of years. The peer-reviewed research in the journal Nature uses 3 years of computer modeling. It shows that the circulation of deep ocean water is on track to decrease 42% by 2050 without a slowdown of global warming. The circulation is vital for flushing nutrients from the ocean floor to fish near the surface. And the study's coordinator says in the past, these circulations have changed every 1,000 years or so. Now, change is happening within just a few decades.
Hate to hear that, Tania. Well, they're not as cute or fluffy as puppies, but manatees, hey, they are beloved creatures. And today, Wednesday, is Manatee Appreciation Day. We want to raise awareness about these gentle sea giants. Their special day falls on the last Wednesday of March. Manatees are nicknamed sea cows because they spend about 8 hours a day grazing on seagrass. They have no natural enemy, but they are a threatened species because of pollution, climate change, and hunting. Many also end up injured due to collisions with boats and ships in shallow water. While manatees are friendly, in Florida it is illegal to harass, disturb, or play with them, as it should be. Fun fact, early explorers and sailors thought manatees were mermaids. Well, sounds like their glasses weren't so great back then. Coming up next on Weather Extra, we take a look at that Super 7-day forecast. We'll be right back.
Does your bathtub look like this? Are you constantly cleaning your shower, but the stains and discoloration just won't go away? Or maybe you're just hoping to freshen up your bathroom with something new and modern. If this is you, you may be planning on attending one of the local home shows. Well, stay tuned. Today I'm joined by Kirsten with a special announcement that's going to make the whole project easier and more affordable. Kirsten.
So Joe, we know that people are busier than ever right now. The last thing they want to do is spend hours of time on the weekend fighting traffic and all the long lines at the home shows. Well, to save time, folks should give us a call right now and get this limited time offer. We're taking 20% off all shower and bath projects, and we're offering some amazing financing. It's 12 months of no payments and no interest. That means you don't need to pay a penny on your project until an entire year after your installation is complete.
So you're saying if I start my project now, I don't have to put any money down, I get 20% off the entire project, and you're offering no payments, no interest financing for a full year. That's pretty incredible.
It really is. We understand that most people have a long list of renovations that they want to do around the house, so we're making it easier than ever to knock out that shower project right now.
That's fantastic. Well, Kirsten, how else are you making this whole project easy?
So Joe, people's biggest fear when doing a project like this is picking out something they're not going to be happy with. Well, we eliminate that fear by bringing the home show to you. When you give us a call, we'll send one of our shower and bath experts out for a free in-home design consultation. They'll bring an iPad and a sample kit to let you design the shower or bath of your dreams. Before the appointment is over, you'll see what the new shower will look like. eliminating all of the guesswork out of the project.
Kirsten, thanks. Folks, call the number on your screen right now to speak with a West Shore Home representative and to receive this limited time offer. Call in now to get 20% off your shower or bath project. Plus, they're doing 12 months of no payments and no interest financing. That means you don't need to make your first payment until 12 months after your installation is complete. Call West Shore Home now.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Checking out that super 7-day forecast. We have mentioned that threat for storms Friday night into Saturday morning. First Alert, I know, Friday night for some more storms. But like JP said, this kind of just looks like run-of-the-mill, strong to severe thunderstorms that you can sometimes get with these storm systems that come through in the spring, but should be dry for most of the weekend. Remember that 50% chance of rain on Saturdays in the early morning hours. So drying out for the rest of the day. And the best chance of rain across Alabama on Sunday is going to be areas south. But then we also have to watch for the storm threat going into next week, which looks like the ingredients would be a bit more favorable to sustain a severe threat. But in the meantime, let's check on Friday. First of all, by the way, tomorrow going to be real nice. This is one of our in-house models. That's one of the drier solutions here, saying most of Friday could be quiet apart from some showers areas north and west. So I would just go ahead and plan that even though it looks like that best chance of storms is going to be Friday night, we don't want to rule out the morning and afternoon hours for at least some rain around as well. But this is one of our drier and slower solutions here, showing storms moving into northwest Alabama after midnight and then gradually making their way to the south and east before clearing out by mid-morning on Saturday. I think a lot of these storms could be out of here by 7 a.m. on Saturday, though. So most of the day will be pretty good. But then as we get Monday into Tuesday, we also have to watch for that potential for some strong storms. Here's us tracking our next big thing. This is one of our models. JP was mentioning the European model. It actually is like, no, I don't think storms are going to be here on Monday. But that's why we've gone with a blend between our two major models, because we don't want to totally rule out that we couldn't see storms on Monday. Both of them, though, seem to agree, and the Storm Prediction Center is already highlighting this, that on Tuesday, this is going to be the time to watch for potentially severe ingredients coming together to support that severe threat. So it could get here by Monday, but right now, Tuesday kind of looks like more the bullseye. But remember, this is still about 6 days out, so we got some time here. Regardless, it definitely looks like we're going to be seeing a warmer weather pattern in place as we get into next week as well. But in the meantime, we'll take a break from the storms and tell you about a pet in the home that could lower the chance of a child developing a food allergy. That's according to a new study published Wednesday in the journal PLOS1. Researchers analyzed data from over 65,000 children in Japan. They found that the babies exposed to cats or indoor dogs have about a 16% lower chance of developing food allergies compared with babies in pet-free homes. One of the study authors says the findings suggest that exposure to dogs and cats might be beneficial against the development of certain food allergies. Kids living with cats were less likely to develop egg, wheat, and soybean allergies, while dog owners were less likely to have egg, milk, and nut allergies. Experts say pet exposure may strengthen an infant's gut microbiome. We love to hear that. Always looking out for the microbiome. So taking a peek into the past now, to create a brand new dish has scientists creating culinary history with a focus on a sustainable future. Patrick Cornell has today's Take a Look at This.
Marvel at this prehistoric snack that even Fred Flintstone would love. This is a mammoth meatball. Okay, so maybe that's a stretch. No, real mammoths were used in the creation. They've been extinct for thousands of years. But an Australian startup completed the DNA sequence for a mammoth using the genome from an African elephant. They injected it into a dash of sheep muscle cell and eventually ended up with some lab-grown mammoth meat. Sound delicious? Unfortunately, no taste testing. This morsel of mammoth is headed straight to a museum in the Netherlands to bring attention to cultured meat's potential impact on the planet. Speaking of mammoth, the size of this teen's feet, clocking in at around 23 or 24. But 14-year-old Eric Kilburn, who is 6 foot 10 inches tall, says his super-sized stompers make it impossible to find shoes that fit, a problem that's pained him for years.
It's been painful. To say the least, it's been hellish.
Now athletic brand Under Armour is coming in to assist, meeting with Eric and taking digital scans to begin working on a custom pair of shoes so the teen can do what he loves, playing football.
Better on the field. I'm going to have shoes that I'm comfortable in, no blisters, no ingrown toenails, none of that stuff.
The custom kicks should be ready to go in 6 to 8 weeks. We cap things off with one more set of large loafers. Michigan 4th grader Ruby Lubicheski is the proud owner of these size 11s, a record for her age and gender according to Kids World Records. And she's not done growing, with dreams to someday set the women's record for world's largest feet.
So, you'll probably see me again when I'm like 30, so.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Hope you had a wonderful Wednesday, of course. Spring break for a lot of kids this week, so you might have plans. We'll talk about some of those getaway forecasts shortly, but also let's do a holiday countdown. Easter is just 10 days away. Can you believe it? 45 days until Mother's Day, which is May 14th, and then, of course, we have Memorial Day, Monday, May 29th. So that's just 60 days away, and we're getting ever so closer to summer. Of course, when you're thinking of summer, you're thinking about the beach. I know a lot of people may have already had plans to go to the beach for this week. Do want to give you an update on the forecast. This is the UV index. It's going to be in that very high range going into tomorrow and into Friday and Saturday. It goes down to a little bit to an 8 because of some clouds lingering around the area, but definitely want to remind you to apply the sunscreen because you could burn pretty quickly if you don't have that within 15 to 30 minutes. The forecast, looking at future radar, Thursday afternoon, beautiful, sunny, dry, temperatures in the lower 70s. We'll see the clouds move in Friday. Most of Friday afternoon looking dry, but we could see some rain move in Friday night into Saturday morning. So just want to give you that first alert. Maybe some lingering showers perhaps going into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. And then as we go into Sunday, just a small rain chance possible, but notice temperatures warming up into the mid 70s. We're not looking at a lot of rainfall over the next 3 days. This is going through Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, maybe about a tenth to a quarter at best. So all the really wet weather is at the very top hand side of your screen where they're looking at higher rainfall totals. The rip current threat, by the way, in the moderate risk for Thursday and Friday, but because that system gets closer to the Gulf Coast, there's going to be more wind, and that rip current threat's ending up on the high side. So you might want to avoid the waters, especially Saturday going into Sunday. And just to note that surface temperatures at the water pretty chilly too at 70 degrees, so not really ideal to be in the water. Here's a look at that Gulf Coast forecast. We're looking at those rain and storm chances Friday into Saturday, a lingering shower possible Sunday, and we could see some stormy weather perhaps early next week, but temperature wise not too bad in the 70s. And maybe you're doing a staycation for spring break. Well, we have the Oak Mountain State Fair, of course, in the next several evenings and then going into the weekend. And for the afternoon evening hours, I think we stay dry Saturday afternoon and evening. All that rain and storm threats earlier in the morning, mid to upper 70s, looking at some lower 70s Sunday afternoon with a partly cloudy sky. Just a reminder, if you're going out to the beach, maybe you're staying here, you can get your weather on the go. Just make sure you download the WBRC First Alert weather app for all the latest details. And of course, stay safe and enjoy your spring break.
What spring break, Matt? We're working people now. We don't get those. But for all of those of you who were out with the kids, teachers, I hope you enjoy it. Embrace it, because I got some major FOMO right now. But let's look at that Super 7-day forecast tomorrow. Going to be plenty of sunshine, and then Friday night into Saturday morning. That's when we have that first alert for storms. But hey, it should be out of here by around 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. Then dry for the rest of the weekend. That 10% chance of rain on Sunday. Remember, that's going to be areas south. And then Monday and Tuesday, still watching the possibility of storms. Got to fine tune if we'll see storms both days or maybe just Tuesday. So make sure you're staying up to date with us on the First Alert weather app, and you can join me back here tonight on First at 9 for an update on that forecast. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Wednesday evening.